The origins of the most fearsome faction in Sea of Thieves can be traced back several years, all the way back to the Cursed Sales update. The Reaper's Bones are the followers of Flame, headed by several members over the course of the last 5 years. But to truly understand it, we have to look at Wanda the Weaponsmith. Wanda was a humble weaponsmith who set up shop at Golden Sands Outpost. Wanda, being skilled in her craft, wished to maximise her profits. She teamed up with fellow smith Salty. In their aims for greatness, they stumbled upon a profane relic from an age before. Salty had found the wreck of the Burning Blade, the flagship commanded by the legendary Captain Flameheart. He rushed to inform his business partner of his discovery. Wanda did not believe him until she saw it for herself. She and Salty managed to dredge up one of the Burning Blade's cannons. Hearing the tales of the vessel caused Wanda to hatch a plan to strike it rich. Selling the cannon would be a one-off payday, but realising the iron was cursed, Wanda sought to wield that power instead. Toiling away in a workshop hidden on Wanderer's Refuge, her work began. By mixing black iron, cursed iron and a little rat blood, Wanda had created her first cursed cannonball. Wanda sought to sell these at outposts, but was prohibited from doing so. Working the cursed metal had changed Wanda, for the curse began to spread to her. She felt her mood change, consumed by rage, consumed by something else. Wanda's flesh would fall away, leaving just a skeleton. No, not just a skeleton. Skeleton Lord, Wanda the Warsmith. In a rage-filled revenge, Wanda raised a skeletal fleet and declared war against the outposts. Her skeletons would lay claim to them, challenging any pirates to stop them. A fearsome battle ensued. Wanda would sail her own ship, titled the Sandman's Revenge, employing her cursed cannonballs against those pirates. In a final stand, her fleet had been crushed by brave pirates who sailed to defend the Sea of Thieves. With her ship scuttled, Wanda's fury was extinguished as she sank down to the bottom of the sea. A year later, the Warsmith would find themselves with a new task. She donned a mask, hiding her face in an effort to quell the rage that bubbled below. For when Wanda was cursed, she had discovered something else was tied to the Burning Blade. It was time to truly serve her master. She took the mantle of the masked stranger to hide her true identity. Her first task was simple. She had rescued Stitcher Jim from the Devil's Roar. Some years prior, Jim had peered into an object only known as a box of wondrous secrets. The act tore his mind apart. Nevertheless, Jim was the means to an end, a puppet requiring a master. Wanda had also sought another, something very precious to her king. When she found him, he was but a pile of shattered bones, having survived a great fall. Before his life slipped away, Wanda patched him together with mud baked in the sun. The next task was to build a home for herself. Wanda and the skeleton travelled to an uncharted island, east of Wanderer's Refuge. Something important lay beneath the earth. The skeleton began to dig deep into the ground, and Wanda would create the structure above the surface. She would enlist the help of Duke the Bilge Rat in acquiring several artifacts of great power. The Reaper's chests were just the beginning. The Dark Relics is what Wanda really required. When enough were gathered, she sent Stitcher Jim to Old Boot Fort to test them. Jim successfully performed a ritual and pulled a piece of the Sea of the Damned to the Sea of Thieves, creating the Fort of the Damned. With the ritual being a success, he would now be sent to free a trapped soul. Sir Arthur Pendragon had been bound in a painting many years ago by the cadaverous Gideon Greymarrow. Arthur, being the heroic soul, enlisted a crew of unknown pirates to continue his work. Pendragon would retrace the steps of 3 captains who had been bound at sea. The captains had been bound as a result of attacking a ship known as the Ashen Dragon. It was revealed that the captains had faced off against a creature called the Commander. Pendragon and the crew managed to rescue the first 2 captains from their remains using the Sword of Souls, an artifact capable of binding and freeing souls from objects. The final captain was buried in a secret chamber on Flintlock Peninsula. Pendragon, out of heroism and foolishness, used his Sword of Souls on the final captain's skull. Captain Flameheart had been released from his remains. His burning skull flared in the sky as he swore to take revenge on those who betrayed him. Wanda's plan had come to pass, just as she was instructed. With plans almost complete, there was but one more task set for Wanda. Stitcher Jim's fate would have to be fulfilled. As the humble skeleton toiled below, the time for his ascendance was close at hand. He forged a new mask made out of fire and treasure, something better befitting his legacy. All the while he waited for his sign, a sign that never came. Wanda had become comfortable, as did Jim, in their stations assigned for them. The skeleton knew Wanda's resolve was slipping. Instead of seizing greatness, she wanted to be with Flameheart in a truly foolish way. Jim and Wanda dived down to the wreck of the burning blade to retrieve a tool of great power. In Flameheart's chambers, there lay a chest of rage. Jim would travel around the Sea of Thieves, tracking down the surviving members of Captain Pendragon's crew. He used the binding ritual to place them in the chest. Jim, instructed by his master, set course for the Heart of Fire, underneath the Devil's Thirst. The same crew who released Flameheart would venture into the catacombs after him. However, they were too late. Jim plunged his arm into the chest of rage, scorching it. Captain Flameheart had betrayed him, making him into an unwitting sacrifice. All the while, Wanda the warsmith watched from the caves above. Disgusted at what she saw, she confronted Captain Flameheart. Wanda had been hopelessly infatuated with him, and when she confessed her feelings, Flameheart laughed at her. Scorned, Wanda abandoned her master. After the betrayal, the skeleton forged loyal spies for the Reapers, having completed the construction of their hideout. Just when all had seemed lost, the skeleton received a sign from his father. His burning skull lit the sky once again. With Wanda the warsmith turning her back on the Reaper's bones, the servant of the flame rose from the ashes. With the servant's time at hand, the Reaper's bones began recruiting those loyal to the cause. Two objectives remained to be filled. Firstly, they needed to return their king to his rightful place, and then liberate the waves from the trading companies. The Reaper's bones believed the Sea of Thieves had become weak, with the trading companies exploiting the pirates that sailed its waters. The seas had become soft, with commerce being controlled by the companies and not the pirates, going against the intended vision for the Sea of Thieves. Many pirates would flock to their ranks, tired of the way they'd been treated. But to truly be free, some blood would have to be shed. In the belief of their beloved king, the thrill of battle and violence was the way to spread their aims. The Reaper's bones would encourage the attacking of emissaries, retrieving their flags and handing them over to the servant. Roughly 2 years would pass before the servant could begin their next move. With the help of Flameheart, the Reaper's bones sacked Golden Sands outpost, with the captain unleashing a green mist on the island. The inhabitants disappeared when the shroud rolled in. The servant would travel to Shipwreck Bay, where an unnamed crew found out he planned to unleash a soul flame captain. Fearing what might be done, the captain was defeated, in turn thinning the veil between the Sea of Thieves and the Sea of the Damned. For this was the servant's plan all along. The newly parted veil allowed a memory of 6 sea forts to materialise in the Sea of Thieves, the forts being memories forged from Flameheart's past. The servant and the Reaper's bones imprisoned the residents of Golden Sands in these forts, with their goal of getting information out of Wanda the warsmith. With their use expunged, the servant allowed the residents to be freed by the same unnamed crew. The true goal of the Reapers was to capture an ancient artifact of great power. The very same veil had been swallowed by the shrouded ghost hundreds of years prior. The forces of Athena's fortune rallied to summon and defeat the ghost, with the Reapers attempting to steal it last minute with a fleet of ghost ships. But Athena's fortune managed to secure the veil, albeit an incomplete one. 3 veil stones were required for the veil to work, and the servant was in possession of 2 of these. Athena's fortune once again banded together to recover them, successfully obtaining them from a sunken Reaper convoy and from a ghostly garrison summoned by Flameheart himself. The Reaper's bones had lost. Immediately after, Merrick travelled to Golden Sands, as the fog had yet to be dispelled. He located caches of the dark relics and set to destroy them. The servant, furious at the thought of Golden Sands being freed from his grip, called the Reapers to arms. The battle for Golden Sands had begun. The Reapers would deliver more relic caches and detonate soul flame rowboats on its shores, whilst the fisherman and his forces collected supplies to rebuild it. In a hard-fought victory, the Reaper's bones were defeated by Athena's fortune, and Golden Sands was freed from their iron grip. Several months after the loss of Golden Sands outpost, time had now come for the servant to enact his destiny, and one other was still needed to play their part. Stitcher Jim had initially survived his transformation into an Ashen Lord, fleeing and cursing his master's betrayal. He swore to desecrate Flameheart's remains to punish his treachery. Eventually coming out from hiding and travelling to Flintlock Peninsula to enact his revenge, Jim was intercepted by the Servant of the Flame. He explains to Jim that he's part of an ancient prophecy, where it was foretold that the Burning One shall be resurrected at a time succeeding the Herald of the Flame's arrival. This Herald of the Flame was destined to be Stitcher Jim. Jim, having his faith in the flame restored, began to meticulously reconstruct Flameheart's remains, as the skull had been destroyed by the Sword of Souls. It was then Jim completed his transformation, drinking from an ancient chalice, bestowing the strength of an Ashen Lord onto him. Jim headed to Molten Sands Fortress with the repaired remains to complete the revival ritual, but was stopped by Pendragon and an unnamed crew. However, even as Flameheart's skull was destroyed again, the servant managed to recover his remains as well as Jim's skull. In a foul ritual, the servant transformed Jim's head into one befitting his father's visage. The time of resurrection had arrived, coinciding with the Festival of the Damned. The Reaper's bones were to secure their king's resurrection by delivering dark relics to the Servant of the Flame and capturing the 6 sea forts. All the while, Athena's fortune sought to do the same. They'd planned to draw Flameheart's soul into a painting, but the prophecy ensured Flameheart's resurrection was inevitable. In the end, the Reaper's bones delivered a heavy blow and retrieved more bewitching dolls than their rivals, ensuring their king's resurrection. Immediately following the victory, the Reaper's bones formed the Servants of the Flame, a subgroup dedicated to fighting the Guardians of Fortune in an all-out war for the Sea of Thieves. The Servant would allow those of high renown to enter the Reaper's lair, the true hideout he had endeavoured to create over several years. Those loyal enough could partake in the Ritual of the Flame and receive the Skeleton Curse. Now, with Captain Flameheart in his physical form and new Reapers pledging their allegiance to him, only Athena's fortune stands in his way over complete domination over the Sea of Thieves.